broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Ready for the music? Hey guys, Happy New Year! Welcome back to Supergirl here at AFTERBUZZ TV. Yay! 2016! We missed you guys so much. So we're so happy we're back here for another fantastic episode. We are already on episode 9. It is called Blood Bonds. I'm one of your hosts, JJ Jurgens. You can follow me on Twitter at JJ Jurgens. And I'm joined here tonight by...
Hey you guys, Nicole Brajer. Good to be back. Happy New Year.
Hi, Stephanie Wenger, and you can follow me on Twitter at Stephanie Wenger. So happy to be back.
I'm Tauri J. Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Tauri J. TauriJay.
MOUSD.
I'm glad everybody's all back together. We haven't been all back together for a while either.
Been a minute.
What a great way to start the
Haven't
year.
seen you guys since last year. I can't.
All right, well, let's start out by talking about the capture. So we have the battle continued into the beginning of this episode that we saw at the end of the finale. So feelings on how this epic battle went down and quickly ended.
I felt like I wanted that to be the end of the episode, so we would have been waiting these 3 weeks to see what happens to Hank. But it was a nice explosive way to jump into an episode as opposed to starting with hostage negotiations.
Yeah.
You know? So I get it. And I thought the airplane stuff was cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just happy that we got to see Kara, fight. I like when the fight scenes happen. I thought the scene from the last episode was great, but it did end abruptly. Mm-hmm. They could have probably ended it last season, because what did it end with, really? Maxwell Lord being upset and not wanting to call a crime scene, and then the uncle going away. So yeah, could have ended last episode for sure.
Yeah, It was like the Rocky Punch. Where they're both about to hit each other, and then it fades to black. And
and you're like, oh yeah, exactly.
Totally agree with you on that. Yeah,
good.
All right, we're all on the same team on this one. All right, well, so then we saw more. I guess we can go into more of, we see Kara kind of dealing with, or Supergirl dealing with Astra, and kind of some back and forth and new things coming out between those two.
There's a lot of hidden political messages in this episode. It was all about today and terrorism and society and fighting with peace and not more fighting, and that's what I really got out of this episode. But I'm totally softing up to Astra. I'm just on the fence about her, but like Kara, I do see a little bit of good in her.
I agree with that. I thought that it was really interesting that they kind of used that character definitely for a social message, as well as this kind of notion of, we only saw this, I feel like, a bad exterior in previous episodes, and now when you start to look at her core, you can see that there's something there that's redeeming at the very least.
Mm-hmm. And I love that Kara's having a really good influence on her. You can tell that, I don't want to say that she's easily influenced, but you can tell that she has at the core of her the same heart that Kara and her mom do. It's just that she definitely has this external force of her husband and this army behind her that is forcing her to be this other character, because she only knows one way to make it, or I guess to accomplish her goal,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think it's. I also like what it's making Kara have to fight with, whether she's going to defend her family, when they are trying to shoot her with the injections, or which side of the fence that she's going to be on. So I like seeing these two struggles with her too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there was definitely some good quotes in there too, when they were having a conversation, just like Supergirl says, all life is bonded by blood, hence the title of tonight's episode. But it makes you really think just about today's times, and how in reality, it's kind of like that. You know what I mean? Like, when I was growing up, I used to, like, always think to myself, well, technically I'm related to Elvis because we all are born, like, we're all born, like, on this earth, so technically I'm related to him. I used to say that when I was, like, 6 years old. But when you really think about it, we all are, like, human beings with, you know, different blood types, but all bonded by the same blood. So it really makes you think about, like, terrorism and just things that are going on today. One more thing, sorry to interrupt you, that my mom always says, like, history repeats itself sometimes. So, like, things are going on, you know, like what happened in Baltimore and how we're, like, doing, like, blacks against whites again and stuff. And, like, I know I'm going on a tangent, but just really, like, this episode, like, you guys thought it was kind of boring, right? You said that, but I thought really into it more about, like, what kind of message they're trying to send to the audience.
What I didn't like about this episode was that they went back on the Kara Cat thing, and I felt like there was a lot of time spent on that. And I just don't like when shows do that, when they drop one bomb and then the next week they backtrack it all, because it's like you build us up to a certain point, and then I'm ready to take that ride with you now. Like, okay, what's it gonna be like when she knows about her? And then so to do this backpedal thing and have her awkward and struggling, for me that didn't work. But
I agree with both of you, actually, that I think that the backpedaling was a problem for me tonight, and I'm sure we'll get more into that in a second. But also, I felt like it was a great episode to kind of start a new year on. It was like, we're all united, like, let's start fresh in some ways. And also, it made me excited because the first 8 episodes of this season were very much kind of Kara against a specific enemy, and this felt like we're starting to kind of get deeper into Kara's character, and I'm hoping that's what happens in the rest of the season, is that we kind of understand more than, oh, there's Kara and Supergirl, that we understand who she is and why she is the way she is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Great.
And kind of touching on your point earlier, I mean, I would agree, like, Kara even brings it into their argument in that Astra is very solely into her goal of protecting the humans, whatever her ultimate plan is. But Kara is all about protecting everyone: man, woman, child, Kryptonian, human,
terrorist,
Martian, etc. Yeah. So in a way, she's saying that all of us beyond the Earth, but in the universe, are bonded by blood and the circle of life.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Sing it, dude.
Awesome. Didn't cut that right.
Yeah, she's definitely like the voice for what I think today's society should be more like.
Right.
And stop backtracking a little bit, you know? But yes, I do understand the frustration, because I was excited for Kat to know who Supergirl was too. I wanted to see that play out a little longer.
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised that they had to go back on it. I was just surprised that it was in this episode, because it felt really soon in the series. Just if you're gonna they have a pretty successful series going on, that you can't have that big of a reveal 8 episodes in and have it stick. They had to have it come back around, but I just wanted it to stick for a little longer. And I don't even know what that means, but it just felt like, oh, we're really going back on this 15 minutes into
This, I wasn't sure how I felt about her knowing, because I kind of didn't want her to know either, because I was like, well, that kind of ruins it. Like, I like their relationship and their back and forth. Yeah. But then once they did it, I was like, okay, fine, let's go with it. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess my counter to that, just for devil's advocate's sake, is because this whole time I've been trying to think of how I would want it to have evolved if she would have stayed. If she would have kept thinking that Kara was Supergirl. And I thought the cat and mouse was really fun, of her being like, you're Supergirl, and Supergirl trying to pretend that she wasn't. But I can't, like, at least off the top of my head, think of how her knowing serves Supergirl. Because right now she's Supergirl's mentor, and maybe she can throw in a pep talk here and there, but, like, Kara already has a big team of people who knows that she's Supergirl. So, like, then Kat would only essentially fall into that fold. And I think what separates her now is that she can give these lessons as a third party. So how do you guys, if she would have stayed believing that Kara was Supergirl, how would you guys have liked the story to progress?
See, what I agree with you is that I liked it the other way, because of the very reasons that you said, because I liked their dynamic being what it was. I don't know how, it was hard to me imagine what it would have been like with them being...
Yeah, I was afraid that they would become, that she in some ways would become Kat's puppet, like that.
Yeah, because it would totally take advantage of her.
Because that, like, Kat would know this thing that she could spread across the world. She's in charge of a media empire.
Yeah.
And in theory, so it would always be Kara was like indebted to her, and like essentially Kara would become her puppet, and that's the only way I could see that storyline going, and that's why I'm not shocked they went back on it, because how long does that play out? Not super long, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think part of the fun was her, like, not knowing how to pronounce her name, not knowing, you know, is she really going to do that kind of stuff to Supergirl? You know, I feel like it would have just been a completely different shift for the two of them. And
Yeah.
I want that in like season 3 or 4. Like, let's wait on it. That will be interesting in season 3 or 4. I just don't want it yet.
So we had no predictions that Henshaw would even like get to that point to reveal not only himself to Supergirl, but then like do that and help her out at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't here last episode when we shot, so I wasn't sure if you guys predicted that eventually Supergirl would find out about Henshaw.
Mm-mm.
That didn't even cross our minds.
Nope.
I don't think
didn't.
I don't think we think we talked mostly about that big reveal at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's interesting that I kind of liked seeing Supergirl and Kara interact with each other. Like, what a fun
Oh,
moment.
that was cool. Yeah, it was awesome. I wanted to touch on something that you said about like the media, because I wrote something down when Max and James got together, and Max started talking about the media, and he was just saying the media, and that kind of poked at today's media, saying that all we cover is not political stuff and pop culture and this and that. So it makes me wonder, do you guys agree with what he was saying, especially because we all kind of work in journalism? Like, how did you guys feel about his comment?
I mean, I felt like there's a bit of relevancy to it. I feel like it's kind of true, because essentially, not to dive too deep into it, but like, I mean, news, just like every other medium and every other art, is something that must be sold at this point. It's like you have to be able to have people interested in what you're telling them, and so you kind of have to, in a way, appeal to what people are already interested in, and then just kind of feed them that so that they will consume your product.
Right.
So it's, in a way, that's true, but also there are other news factions that are very devoted to giving what the facts are and what's happening. Like if you go to a lot of like more international based companies like BBC, Al Jazeera, and all that stuff, they're very knowledgeable, and they give you the facts straight up. And I also kind of not poking on that, but like kind of touching on that as well. I feel like they were using that to paint Maxwell Lord and Astra's faction in the same light, and that they're both pretty much the same. They both are these two people who believe that they are right and believe that they are trying to help the world that they live in. And they're both going about it in probably the worst way possible. But they mean well. And so, like, I'd like that parallel, because you have this person who's trying to kill Supergirl, and you have this person who Supergirl loves, and they're both ultimately the same, but I think that Maxwell Lord is willing to go further.
Yeah, especially because he's not family either.
Right.
Yeah. It was good. Good little reaction there, Tori.
I actually, I would agree. This is one thing I hate about our media today. And growing up as a journalism student,
Talking to the girl who works at TMZ.
Well, I was
sorry,
one that,
guys.
No, I was one that wanted to be, on E growing up and all this stuff. But I think, I think somehow we've gotten a little too off track. And for me, it's too much about celebrity, and it's too much about, like, let's find the most embarrassing moment that somebody did during the day, and let's blast that out all over and make fun of them. And
Story of my life.
Yeah, and I just, so I think I hunger for some of the real news.
I think it's up to our generation to put the real news out there. Like, I work at TMZ because I like entertainment news. Does TMZ report world stories and national news? Yes, we do that too. We're a huge entertainment news outlet. We do those things, but our thing is entertainment, just like CNN's thing is CNN. So I just think it's really important for, like, when we're going on our news feeds on Facebook and you guys see what people share and stuff, it's really important to share the things that you think will make make a difference. So read those blogs that actually tell the truth.
And social media is such a game changer in the way we're getting our news, and hits on websites and follows on Twitter. All of that stuff matters so much in the way we're doing news, and you could say a decade ago that wasn't the case. So we've really seen this change happen relatively quickly, that celebrity and sensationalized news is number one. And it's going to be interesting to see how kind of smaller outlets and all this stuff kind of comes together to make a new media landscape, because that's kind of what we're seeing, I think, right now happening, is that it's so changing.
It's so vocal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good question, guys. Get it all out there.
Let's talk about Maxwell Lord a little bit now. So I kind of liked this episode. What do you guys feel about Wynn and but also Wynn and James teaming up to try to do some super sleuthing on, right?
Yeah, if anything, that was the cutest little relationship in this episode. I know we love cute relationships in the show, but that was definitely awesome to see them pairing off together.
I agree.
I also like that up until now we've had Maxwell he's been really charming, and he's been very, very much this guy who he's a little gray in terms of morals, but you like him. And in this episode, I feel like this is the first time where you really get to see him be a villain. You know, he's beating up people that we like. He's coming up with insane schemes, and he's very antagonistic. Yep, that's the word I'm looking for. Very antagonistic towards the people that are just trying to help him. Yeah. And I like that now we get to see his evolution into being a real bad guy.
I agree with you, but tonight was the first one, and tell me if you disagree with this, but this is the first episode where it really switched for me. I kind of felt like he was a gray character, and tonight I really didn't like him, there was nothing kind of redeemable there for me tonight for him. Maybe he'll come back around and I'll see it again, but...
Oh, yeah, he was a jackass from the start in, the first scene with Alex, telling Alex off. Now we know they don't have a future together.
Yeah, that was sad, because we thought
maybe something would have gone down.
For a second, no.
Yeah, I was wondering how your ship was doing.
Yeah, there goes my pleasure.
Now it's time for moist.
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting moist.
Sorry, we've had a moist discussion.
What are they talking about tonight? Nope, they can't get moist.
Oh, man. I mean, I guess I'm willing to sacrifice that ship if it means that we're gonna get a real formidable bad guy. Right now we have a lot of people who are doing things, but no one who is actually posing that serious of a threat. Week to week, I don't necessarily feel like Kara will, I don't think she'll ever be killed or maimed to the point where she's going to be harmed. And I think that Maxwell Lord stands to actually pose a threat down the line. We have all these super powered baddies, but I feel like he has the brains and the power within the world that they've created to do anything that he wants, and then using that power to take down so many aspects of Cat's people, the DEO, and all that stuff. So I want him to be the baddest of baddies.
So, I hate to use this pun, but I have to say that he has staying power. I was like, oh, this is so bad, but whatever. Gonna go with it.
Do it.
Yeah, and I just feel like he would be interesting to have him, because week after week we kind of get a new villain. She kicks the villain to the side, and then we get a new villain, and that's fun for a bit, and it's been 8 episodes of that. But now it would be nice to have somebody who she has to deal with all these other problems, but he's always lurking there in the background, and that would be a really interesting thing to have her.
I agree with you, because even with Non as threatening in the fights and everything like that, it was, you just didn't really see him as being her main. I don't know, you just wanted, yeah.
But they come in and out. They keep coming back and forth, and then the General also. General Lane keeps coming back and forth too, and I hate him. I don't like him at all. He's an a-hole. He reminds me of Donald Trump. I don't like that guy at all.
Yeah, I love that actor, but he's great.
He's a great actor, for sure.
Yeah, because he makes us hate him.
Yeah.
So let's hear your speculations on. So we see Jane Doe revealed at the end. What do you think his plans are with this new creation?
Like, part of me thinks that he's... Because we have the arm from Red Tornado, right? And we have... It seemed like it was being infused in her body. So I feel like he's going to create another super, which is a weird plan.
It's a girl, too.
Yeah.
So.
I get... Like, in my mind, I guess I understand that, like, if your opponent has a nuke, then you're going to be like, I'm going to make my own nuke. And then essentially the Cold War begins and no one can move because of fear of death. I get that. But I don't, because we already have so many super people running around right now.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what his ultimate plan is. Like, in my mind, when he was like, I have this big plan to take everybody out, I thought that he was going to create something that would make kryptonite rain from the sky or something. But essentially, he's creating another, like, maybe another Supergirl, which is interesting because there was a storyline in the Justice League series where they essentially created a clone of Supergirl, gave her the Power Girl suit, and she was like a little older, a little stronger, and that was a really cool storyline to see the two of them fight. And so I think that this might mirror that in some way.
Yeah.
But I'm curious as to where they're going to take it.
I can see that. I agree with that. As far as predictions go, I see that totally happening because they got to bring something into it, and I think that's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a pussy. Sorry, I think Max is like, yeah, okay, great. We saw you swing at James and you punched him in the face. You were like, let's do this man to man. He was tied down. That's not man to man. You know, like I don't like Max. I think he's a straight up jerk, but he's definitely a coward. So
Yeah.
you get all these fancy schmancy things to, get by. But what if your technology fails, buddy? Gosh.
Then he can always run and hide if he has trained or somebody else.
Because if James wasn't tied back in a chair, James would have knocked him out. Knocked him out. So that scene upset me.
Yeah. That's an interesting point you make about the Justice League, though, mirroring that. And I wonder if that will kind of follow suit in more episodes to come. Will we see more pulls from, like, specific storylines from the Justice
The
League?
fans deserve it, I
Yeah.
think. They want to see that, so I guarantee that happens.
Right.
Yeah.
And, I mean, in that regard, the room that the girl was in was room 52, a nod to the new 52. So I feel like people are going to yell at me if I don't mention
I
that.
know. Yeah. They definitely would. Yeah. We know that.
Good job.
Yes. Cheers to you.
Another.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we kind of already talked about the Cat and Kara. Anything more to add on that?
I thought it was
Remember
interesting
more
that she got to the point of actually quitting.
But I didn't believe it because now anything that happens with the two of them, I'm like, this is lasting for like 5 seconds.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so I didn't believe it.
I didn't believe it either. Like, obviously, she needs to be in that environment, like, just to have your story kind of continue. But I did think that, like, to have her actually get to that point to say, I'm quitting, like, I wonder if it'll change the dynamic between them at all. It didn't seem to tonight.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
When they sat down and talked, like when Kara sat down and she had that little speech about how, whatever Kat says to her really means a lot to her, the place means a lot to her, I thought maybe for a second Kat was going to think in the back of her mind, all right, she's totally Supergirl, but I'll just like go along with the fact that she's Kara. Because I thought that was a touching speech, but, it's Kat, so she doesn't get by easily.
I liked Kat. I had one of her quotes for tonight where she was like, "It looks like a color wheel threw up," like making fun of her costume.
Yeah.
Her costume's so, like, cute and sweet. Like, you're just like, oh, you can't make fun of that. It's so, like,
Yeah.
charming. You're like, okay.
I thought it was just funny coming from her because it's like nothing's sacred to her. She's just gonna bag on anything.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if she hadn't revealed that, like, she now assumes that she's Supergirl, or is not Supergirl. But I do wonder if it had gone the other way, if she would, like, have her printed on every magazine and have, like, all the exclusives with Supergirl. That's another thought.
She could have used it to her, for her business purposes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would have been a really interesting storyline, especially since we were talking about the sensationalization of news. I thought that would have been a really cool arc if essentially kind of bringing it back to what you said earlier, that like Kat would be using her to make all these great stories, every story exclusively Catco, and then she would realize that's what she's doing and that she's not making real news anymore, and that would be kind of how they solve that.
I would love that storyline, but we're all like journalists at this table, or in journalism, so maybe we have a like different viewpoint than most people, because I was like, ooh, that sounds like such a fun journalism story.
Well, because Kat doesn't get very many arcs. She's there to be like a pillar or a rock for Kara to learn from and stuff like that. So I think if they were going to give her an arc, that would have been a really interesting one to do.
I agree.
Me too.
I like that Kara said her friends keep her human. That was sweet.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. So she kind of, had a breakdown in this episode.
Yeah, she had a lot of interesting things to say. I like that she said she got so angry that she wanted to hurt someone, because that happens to me a lot. Might be because I am Italian-blooded, but, you guys probably have all been there once or twice, right?
I have.
Go to the punching bag and just... Yeah, so I mean, I felt for her, and I get that the frustration of just everything, right? Work, family, not knowing the truth. Sometimes your parents keep things for you just to keep you safe, and yeah, she's dealing with a lot. So I like that she bent a little for us in this episode.
Yeah. I really liked that parallel of having her realize that when you fear you're going to lose everything, knowing the lengths that you go to keep it. And I thought that was a really good way of connecting her to Astra, because they were both in the same boat. I keep saying the word boat and ship. It's a very boat and ship heavy episode. But
I want a boat or a ship.
I loved that was their way of kind of tying it in, because I mean, their worlds are so different. I mean, Kara growing up on Earth, being this assistant at this point, and only being a superhero very recently, like knows nothing about the world where essentially Astra is a general. She's been leading armies. She's had to kill people, and so there's such a gap between who they are and how they grew up. But to connect on that bridge of the fear of loss and the ability to essentially take the innocence that Kara has and kind of show how it's affecting everyone around her. Both you've seen John or Hank grow ever lighter ever since we've met him. You've seen Alex get really protective, and she's grown a lot since we've seen since she started, and she's
badass.
She's so badass.
She's a boss. That is boss lady status.
Yeah.
She even got director of the CEO for for like 5 minutes. So good for her.
Probably won't be the last time.
Yeah, right? I liked that.
And we got to see Astra make a monumental change this episode. I mean, if it was the Astra that we had met the first episode, then all the DEO soldiers would be dead right now, because they were an obstacle in their way. But she managed to kind of take what Kara was giving her and know that there's a peaceful way out of the situation. And I really enjoyed that part.
Yeah, especially touching off that with like the flashback when you hear her mom say that she promises that she'll fight through compassion and reason. It's almost like Kara has carried that through her mother, and you can see that. And then that's why you hear Astra right towards the end of the episode with Alex say, my niece just sounds like her mother, or she said, you just sound like my niece. So it's nice that Supergirl has touched everybody, especially, and you see that this episode. So it's awesome. Very good point, Tauri.
Oh
yeah.
That was a great one. We're gonna end on that one. Is there anything else in this episode we want to?
There's one more little quote.
So strong.
It was a good one. I don't know where it is.
Was it?
Oh, that the general says their idealism will doom the planet, and Hank says that will actually save it. So that was nice too.
Yeah. That was a good quote.
Guys, this episode wasn't so bad.
I also liked when everything looks the bleakest, heroes find a way.
Oh yeah, that was the one I was just about to pull out, James.
Nice.
Oh, James. James and Wynn were great this episode, though. That was very nice to see them have a little bro time. Bro moment.
I agree, and have it not be about girl or any sort of
I always want more romance, That's my bottom line, but I agree. The bromance tonight was good.
Everybody's just Moving on up in 2016 on Supergirl. Very cool.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and dive into some. We already kind of said a little of them, but see if there's any other predictions anyone has.
And now, your AfterBuzz
You should go like this.
TV.
Yeah. Fly through it.
And I'm out because I cheated and watched the next episode. I could try and look really smart right now, but I won't.
Damn you.
It's all on you guys.
Working at CBS.
Oh man. I want to throw this to the audience, and I want to know who you guys think the woman, the Jane Doe, is. Who do you guys think that she's going to become? Put it in the comments below, guys.
Everyone's gonna freak out.
Tweet it at us. But I think that if I'm going to start predicting, I think that we're going to get a lot more Martian Manhunter. I think that now that he's been outed to Kara, I think that he's going to be a bigger staple in solving all these issues. Though I think I'm going to make a season end prediction.
I don't want him to die.
I don't think he's going to die, but I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be outed to the rest of the DEO, and I think that he's going to get his position removed. Alex will take a position as director, and he'll be helping as a external force. So, big prediction.
That is a big one.
I am going to go completely different than you and say Maxwell, Lord, and Kat are going to have some sort of romance, friendship, some sort of relationship, and so Kara's gonna have to deal with him at work and be nice to him and still be so upset with him as Supergirl and how she handles that division in her life.
That's a good prediction.
Yeah.
I just predict that Kara's gonna go after Lord, and I want her to take him down. Like, he's gonna totally linger through this winter season, though. He's gonna be a big issue, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's definitely my prediction. He'll be around for a bit. She's not gonna just knock him out of the park in the next episode. So yeah, there has to be something that's gonna make it a little controversial for her to get to him. But I don't think it's gonna be Kat. I don't know what it's going to. I think it's gonna be this new orphan robot that he's building, or whatever we want to call it. What did you call it? What did you say you predict it's going to be?
Oh,
you don't know yet.
I don't know.
You want the audience
threw
to
it out
tell you
to the
that. Okay, cool. So yeah, whatever the audience
Yeah.
thinks, I think, that's definitely going to be the controversy.
All right, there you have
Oh,
it.
damn it. You know everything. I'm ready for yours, JJ.
I don't know everything. Just one more episode fast. That's all I've watched.
All
right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us here again in this new year. We're ready for a lot more episodes. It's going to be exciting.
Oh, yeah.
Where can everybody follow you guys at one more time?
You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, the whole 9 yards, at Nicole Brajer, and watch TMZ. You might see me on the show.
You can follow me all over social media at Stephanie Wenger.
You can follow me on Twitter at Tauri J. It's TAURIJAY.
And I'm at JJ Jurgens on Twitter, JurgensJJ on Instagram, and at TomGirl.tv. We'll see you here again next week. Thanks, guys.
Happy 2016!
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.